Hello everybody, welcome to the Analyst by Vajiram and Ravi dated 17th June 2026, where we would try to comprehensively analyze 7 articles in 3 different sections, along with your daily mains answer writing program. In the analysis part, we will first have a comprehensive discussion with respect to the G7 summit held at France, along with its significance for India. Then in the second article, we will have a discussion with respect to the water crisis in India, specifically the Indian cities which continue to face severe water stress. Then in the new mains value addition section, we will have a look at some of the data regarding mental health care in India that you can use in your mains answer writing. Finally, in the prelims pointer section, we will have a discussion with respect to 4 different articles from the special perspective of your UPSC prelims exam. Coming to the very first topic of today's discussion, we know that the global power is no longer concentrated only in West. Countries like India, Brazil, Indonesia, they are increasingly influencing the global order. However, whenever there is a global economic crisis, a major war, or a technological challenge, one forum occupies the center stage, the G7. And the G7 summit for this year is of particular importance because it is happening amidst multiple events. The Ukraine crisis, the West Asian conflict, the supply chain disruptions, and the rapid rise of artificial intelligence. Now for India, the G7 summit is not merely a diplomatic event. It is a platform to showcase the global governance and highlight the concerns of the global south. In this context, we will have a look at the 52nd G7 summit, which was recently held from 15th to 17th June at Avion-les-Bains in France under the presidency of France and Emmanuel Macron. Now why this is important? This is part of GS paper 2 international relations for you guys. Now coming to the topic, first you should know what is G7, what is G8 and what is G20 countries. You should know the difference between all these three. See, G7 is a group of 7. It is an informal grouping of advanced economies, that means the developed economies, that discuss major global economic and political issues every year when they meet. Clear? And roughly they meet in June every year. Now this G7 has no treaty, no charter and no permanent secretariat. Clear? So it is an informal grouping. It was founded in 1975 in response to the oil crisis, when the world was facing oil crisis similar to something what today we are facing. The G7 was formed to make a global policy, to coordinate events between the countries so that the crisis can be overlooked. Now these are the member countries of G7. You have Canada and USA from the North American continent. Then you have France, Germany, Italy and UK from England, from let's say Europe, and Japan is the only country from Asia. Clear? Now in 1998, one country joined G7 group called Russia, and the group became G8. But after the Russian occupation of Crimea in 2014, the Russia was excluded from this group and it again became the G7 grouping. Now there is also a G20 grouping which is of further more importance to India. Why? Because India is part of G20 grouping. Now in G20 grouping, the emerging economies which are becoming large, they also become part of it. Apart from these, some of the developing countries in the G20, you have African Union, which was recently included by the Indian efforts, and European Union is also part of G20. Clear? These G7 countries, they occupy just 10% of the world population. However, they contribute 31% to the global GDP, majorly dominated by USA alone. Clear? So why is G7 important? Still, why we talk about G7? Why not just talk about G20? See, G7 has a lot of economic influence. It influences global trade, financial markets and technology governance, because these are the most developed countries. They have all the resources, all the technological advancement happening in their countries. So they govern on these specific issues. Example, during the 2008 financial crisis, the G7 coordination played a crucial role in stabilizing the markets. When there was global financial meltdown in 2008, after the Lehman Brothers, the bank collapsed, then G7, they coordinated the policies to take control of the global financial system. Then you have global governance platform. Basically, these developed countries, along with some of the observer members, like India is one of the observer members in G7, they discuss climate change, security issues, development assistance, how these developed countries can help developing countries, all these things. For example, the coordinated sanctions against Russia after the Ukraine conflict was taken by G7 countries. Clear? And then the technology and AI governance, particularly this year, a major focus was on AI, the technological challenges which are coming in front of us. AI regulation and digital governance became major theme for the 2026 summit. Clear? So these are still, they occupy 31% of the world's GDP. They still have a lot of power in the world. So entire world looks upon G7, what they does, how they shape up the policies in the upcoming event. Clear? Now, what are the major themes which were taken up in the G7 summit of this year in France? The Ukraine conflict was one of the major issues which was discussed. Continued support for Ukraine was given by the G7 countries. Security guarantees were given to the European countries. For example, your Ukrainian president Volodymyr Zelensky participated in the discussion seeking continued Western support. Clear? So Ukraine is not a member of G7, but Ukraine, like India, was an observer member. He was an invitee to this summit. Then West Asian crisis, Iran-related tensions, Strait of Hormuz security. Example, there was concerns over energy supplies and maritime trade routes were discussed in the G7 summit. Our PM also talked about energy security, lack of trust in the world, all these things. Then artificial intelligence was a third major theme, where responsible AI, digital governance, and child safety online, all these issues were discussed in the G7 summit. Technology leaders were invited to discuss opportunities and risk of AI in this world, specifically for the children's. Clear? So all the tech heads were also present there. They put forth their views and their suggestions how we can limit the impact of AI on the society. Then global economic imbalance was another major theme of this year's discussion at G7. Supply chain resilience, a lot of dependence has now been created over China for the supply chain. So every country wants to diversify their base out of China. So China plus one is significant in this manner, so that no country wants that all our raw material comes from China only. What if China says no tomorrow in the morning? China says, we are not giving you raw material. What can you do of us? So countries want to diversify. They want to set up industries in other areas also, apart from China, from where they can source raw material. Clear? Trade distortions, like the tariffs implied by the USA, industrial overcapacity, and there were discussions which included concerns regarding manufacturing concentration and critical mineral supply chain. Manufacturing concentration and critical mineral supply chain where? In China. Clear? Then you had debt crisis in developing countries, financial stress faced by a lot of developing nations. Example, several countries in Africa and Asia, they continue to face sovereign debt challenge. Example is our neighbor Pakistan. They have a lot of debt. They are facing challenge. They do not have the resources to repay the debt. So all these were the themes: the Ukraine conflict, the West Asian crisis, the energy crisis, the technological challenge, the supply chain disruption, and the debt crisis of developing nations. All these were the major themes of discussion. Now, these are the major themes. That does not mean that discussion was limited to just these things. More topics could have been discussed, but these were the major themes of discussion this year. Clear? Then why the G7 is still relevant for India, though India is not part of it? Why not we just focus on G20 and leave the G7 aside? See, first of all, we'll see why India is regularly invited, because we are invited every year from 2019 on a regular basis. This was the 7th consecutive year when India was a part of G7 summit. Clear? We are world's largest democracy, 5th largest economy, though we are right now, we have slipped to 6th, 7th number. But on a broader sense, we are 5th largest economy. We are key player in the Indo-Pacific power, and we are important voice of the global South. That means we portray ourselves as the representative of the global South. That means the developing countries. Clear? And what is the significance of G7 for India? It is a diplomatic event. PM Modi held bilateral meetings with the leaders of Canada and the UK during the summit. India and Canada are going to sign a free trade agreement. On the sidelines of this G7 summit, both the PM of both the countries, they met and they talked about the free trade agreement between India and China. And they said that the developments are happening on a faster pace. Then there are economic benefits, a lot of trade opportunities, a lot of trade leaders meet different country leaders and talk about the investment in different countries. You have investment flows. Then it is important for India's point of view in the terms of energy security. Everybody of you is aware how we right now are facing petroleum and LPG fuel shortage. So for energy security, concerns regarding the disruption in West Asia and all supply routes, this also can be discussed by the PM with other leaders in this forum. Then strategic importance, discussions on the Indo-Pacific security and resilient supply chain. See, strategic importance is anyway important. Why it is of useful to India? You must have heard the news that recently a ship carrying Indian sailors was hit by US missile, in which 3 of the Indian sailors they died. So a lot of developments which are happening in the West Asia are of particular importance for India also. Then you have technological cooperation in AI governance and digital public infrastructure. It is the G7 acts as a platform for global South. India continues to advocate climate justice, developmental finance, and reform for global institutions. What kind of institutions? Your UNSC, world financial institutions. We need reform in these institutions. We need better representation of countries like India, your Germany, Brazil in these forums. Clear? So India continues to raise the voice of global South in the G7 summit. We talk about climate justice, that the developed countries are the one who are responsible for all the climate change happening in the world, but the sufferers are the developing countries. So India raised these concerns that it is the responsibility of the developed countries to do more for climate change. Clear? So that's why it is significance for India. From the perspective of diplomatic significance, economic benefits, energy security, strategic importance, technology cooperation, and platform for global South. Now, what are the certain criticisms of G7? See, G7, there is a lack of representation in G7 because these are just 7 countries. They represent just 10% of the entire world's population. 90% of the population is still excluded from it. So, lack of representation, that means emerging powers like India, Brazil, Indonesia, they are not permanent members of this forum. So, that's why G20 holds even more significance as compared to the G7. And then you have declining share in global economy. The share of G7 is declining in the global economy. Right now, they contribute 31% to the global GDP. Earlier, their share was much more. The rise of China, India, South Korea, all these countries, they have reduced the share of G7. Clear? So the share of G20 and BRICS countries is increasing. Then it is an informal forum. No permanent secretariat, no charter, no treaty. Clear? So informal nature, decisions are not legally binding upon the parties. So they can decide something, go back home and then refuse to comply to that particular order. And North-centric agenda, that means they just talk about the developed countries, how these developed countries themselves can take benefit of all the developments happening in the world. They do not care much about the developing countries. Here, clear? So developing countries argue specific issues receive inadequate attention. For example, debt relief of developing countries, food security, climate change. These issues are not very well represented or talked about in this summit. These are some of the criticisms of G7. Then what can be done? What can be the way forward for the G7 summit? How things can be improved here? There should be a greater representation, include emerging economies, and make more systematical decision making here. Now, what kind of rising economies have to be included? Your India, Brazil, South Africa, you have your South Korea, then countries like Indonesia. All these countries have to be part of G7, and further you can expand the G7. I think the US president also talked about expanding the G7 to G11 by including 4 more countries into it, which are the major global powers right now, which are emerging as power right now. So you have to increase the representation of the countries. Then strengthen the global South engagement. Example, debt relief and climate finance for developing countries. See, the majority of the world right now is part of global South. Until and unless you include the issues of global South into any of the summits, they will not be of as much relevance. Clear? Then reform global governance. For example, G7 should talk about reforms in United Nations Security Council, international financial institutions like World Bank, IMF, they are all dominated by the USA. So the UNSC is dominated by the 5 permanent members. They have their veto rights. They do not allow any other country to become part of the permanent member. So G7 should talk about these reforms at the international level. Then you have cooperative approach to technology. Example, global AI governance framework. Such kind of frameworks have to be developed by these developed countries in G7 summit, which can act as a model regulation for the rest of the world. Clear? So these are some of the reforms which at least are required in G7 summit, so that its credibility and its relevance still remains in this world. Otherwise, today definitely G20 is becoming much more relevant as compared to the G7. Clear? So this was G7 from my side. Now it's your duty to write this answer. Discuss the significance of India's participation in the G7 summit and how can India leverage such platform to advance its interest in the global South. Make sure you write this answer. Coming to the second topic of today's analysis, we know that India on average receives around 115 centimeters of rainfall every year. Yet, every summer our newspapers are filled with images of empty reservoirs, water tankers, and people standing in queues to get a bucket of water. The paradox is striking. India is not a water poor country, but we are facing the water management crisis. Today, the farmers in Punjab, the industries in Tamil Nadu, the households in Delhi, and even the states like Karnataka and Tamil Nadu are fighting because of the water crisis. And as the climate change intensifies and the demand of water continues to rise, this is going to become one of India's most serious developmental challenge. So the question is no longer whether India will face the water crisis. The question is more about how India can sustainably manage its resources before this water crisis deepens. In this context, we will look at the water crisis in India, as there are several Indian cities which continue to face severe water stress due to the declining groundwater, erratic monsoons, rapid urbanization, and climate change. Now, this topic is important for you because it is part of GS Paper 3, Environment, Agriculture, and Water Resources. Clear? So starting with the topic, what is water crisis? See, water crisis refers to a situation where the availability, accessibility, quality or management of water is insufficient to meet human, agriculture, industry and ecological needs. Clear? So why this crisis is in India? Because we are home to roughly 18% of global population, which might increase to 20% also. However, we only have 4% of the global water resources. So the population is 18%, but the water resources are just 4% in India. So automatically we'll have to manage our resources better. And because we are not able to manage our resources right now, that's why we are facing this stress. Now what is happening? India's per capita water availability is around 1100 cubic meter per person. It is above the international threshold of water scarcity, which is 1000 cubic meter per person. So we are just barely above the water stress criteria of the international parameters. But at certain places, we have enough water. At certain places, we are facing severe crisis. Clear? Now, what are the causes of this water crisis in India? First and major is the groundwater depletion. India is the world's largest extractor of groundwater, largest in the world. Why? Because in states like Punjab and Haryana, we have excessive tube well irrigation for the cultivation of crops. For example, the Punjab-Haryana region, it is a semi-arid region. Semi-arid region means they have very less rainfall. They largely rely on irrigation. And because being a semi-arid area, they should grow crops which require less water. But what they are growing? Rice. 1 kg of production of rice, 1 kg requires 3000 liters of water. Imagine just 1 kg of rice requires 3000 liters of water for its production. Now, when they extract too much of water from ground, so certainly the water table starts depleting. Inefficient agriculture practices like flood irrigation wastes water. Flood irrigation as it happens in rice cultivation. Example, sugarcane cultivation in drought-prone Maharashtra, paddy or rice cultivation in semi-arid Punjab. Clear? Even sugarcane cultivation also requires around 1600 to 2000 liters of water for 1 kg of sugarcane production. Then you have rapid urbanization, where demand is growing faster than the supply. Urban cities are growing at a faster pace. We knew that the urban population in 1991 census, it was 26%. It became 31 to 32% in 2011. And it is projected to grow up to 40% by 2030. Clear? So our urban population is increasing at a rapid pace. It also leads to water stress over the urban areas. Example is Bengaluru's population growth has outpaced the water infrastructure expansion. Clear? Then you have climate change with erratic rainfalls. You have high intensity rainfalls with a shorter duration of time. Earlier, what used to happen? Rainfall used to happen over a longer duration of period. So water gets time to infiltrate into the land or soil. Now, within a small duration of time, heavy downpour is happening and the water is running away without getting infiltrated into the land. You have heat waves, you have droughts, which leads to high evaporative loss of water. Then example, consecutive drought years in parts of Karnataka and Maharashtra. Then you have pollution of water resources. Example, the Yamuna River suffers severe pollution when it enters Delhi from Vajirabad and right up to Okhla. When it exits Delhi, Yamuna is the most polluted. A lot of sewage treatment plants, common effluent treatment plants are being created, but they are dysfunctional. The government, earlier they used to blame the other parties which were ruling Delhi. But right now, one government, one political party is ruling all the center, the state, and the municipality. Still, they are not able to clean the rivers like Yamuna in Delhi. Clear? Industrial pollution in Sabarmati River basin reduced usable water. These are some of the examples of pollution of water resources, surface water resources. Then poor water governance, fragmented responsibilities among multiple ministries and agencies. So there is not a coordinated response between the ministries, so they can holistically look at the issue. These are some of the causes why water crisis is there in India. Now, what are the major dimensions of water crisis in India? See, drinking water crisis is one dimension where you have a lot of tanker dependent colonies in cities like Bengaluru and Delhi. You can see these pictures every year in summers. Our newspaper is filled with these kind of images where people are facing shortage, people are not getting quality water in their homes through tap water. Then agriculture crisis, their crop failure happens due to drought in regions of Marathwada region of Maharashtra, which are already drought prone. Then urban water crisis, example, Chennai in 2019 faced day zero, where reservoirs nearly dried up. Now, what do you mean by day zero? Day zero, the term signifies the situation when the entire municipal water supply dries up. There is no water with the municipality to supply to the city residents. That is called day zero. Cape Town faced this situation. An interesting fact I'll tell you, when Indian team went for a cricket series in South Africa, they had a particular test match in Cape Town, and the Cape Town was facing day zero. Now, the Indian cricket team players were living in a 5-star hotel, but still they do not have water. They were given access to water only for 2 minutes. Every Indian player was told that your shower will run only for 2 minutes. Whatever shower or bathing you can do in 2 minutes, you do. After that, there will be no water. So these kind of situation emerges when day zero hits. Then you have interstate water dispute, example, Kaveri dispute between Karnataka and Tamil Nadu, and your Krishna River dispute between Telangana and Andhra Pradesh. Then ecological crisis happens as the drying wetlands reduce biodiversity. The shrinking lakes of Bangalore is an example. This is Ulsur Lake of Bangalore. You can see the dried up position of this Ulsur Lake. At good times when the water level is good, this entire lake is filled up with water, and now only a small portion is left with water. Clear? So these are some of the dimensions: how drinking water, agriculture crisis, ecological crisis, you have urban water crisis, interstate disputes happen because of water crisis. Now, what are the impacts of these water crises on humans? First is food security threatened. Reduced irrigation affects wheat and rice production. Then you have economic loss. Industries facing production disruption due to water shortage. A lot of semiconductor industries which are now being put up in states like Gujarat, Assam, they require constant supply of fresh water. Now, why industries are being put up in Assam? Specifically because you have Brahmaputra River, a large source of water. But if such kind of industries can be put up in states like Tamil Nadu, better export can happen from India. But we lack availability of water there. Then you have public health issues, example, water contamination leads to cholera, diarrhea, especially in rural areas where the healthcare facilities are also not that good. Then you have social conflict between, let's say, between the states, and on a smaller level, you have conflict on the water tankers. Disputes arise in urban settlements. People do fight over water tank. A lot of fight happens because of water tankers. Then you have migration. Drought-induced migration from Bundelkhand. This is a push factor in migration, where because of lack of availability of resources, people are pushed to migrate towards the urban areas. These are some of the impacts of water crisis. Now, what are the government initiatives? Has the government done anything? Yes, government has taken a lot of steps, but still the management is not as good what it should be. The first is your National Water Mission, which started in 2011. The main objective was to conservation of water, minimize wastage, and ensuring the most equitable distribution across and within the states. National Water Mission. The program is still going on, and I don't know the efficacy of this program. It is not working as well, seeing as today's situations. Then you have Jal Jeevan Mission. The Jal Jeevan Mission was started in 2019 to provide a functional tap connection within the premise of each rural household by 2024. Now 2024 has already gone. The government gave the excuse that COVID came in between, that's why we could not reach the target. Now the targets have been shifted to 2030. Under this Jal Jeevan Mission, government says that every rural household will have a tap water connection. But however, a lot of places still do not have tap water connections. So still we have to see its implementation, how it goes. Then you have a separate Ministry of Jal Shakti which was created by the government in 2019 to consolidate interrelated functions pertaining to water management, so that there is one ministry which will look at all the functions regarding water management. This was a good step. Let's see how effectively it works. We had to see the outcome. If our rivers are not clean, if everybody does not get clean drinking water, then what is the use of such ministries? Then you have Atal Bhujal Yojana. Groundwater management promotes community-led sustainable groundwater use and targeted states. They are focused on 7 major states facing critical groundwater depletion, mostly in the northwestern part of India and the central peninsular part of India. Clear? Your Namami Gange program to clean the river Ganga. River rejuvenation targets pollution reduction and continuous river flow. The ecological flow of river has to be maintained because rivers have a self-cleaning property. If they are allowed to run at a certain speed, they can clean themselves. But because of a lot of dams, hydropower projects, the river speed gets reduced. Then your sewage treatment is also an important part of this Namami Ganga project, where a lot of sewage treatment plants will be created on the banks of river in every city, so that the city waste does not directly go into the river, it gets treated first. Then you have Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana in 2015. It's a central sponsored scheme where the government talks about efficient irrigation, so that the freshwater usage in agriculture is reduced and it is optimally used. Then you have National Aquifer Mapping and Management Program. See, aquifers are water tanks inside the ground. They are kind of permeable soil which have pores in between. They have spaces in between where water gets filled up. So you can imagine like a big water tank under the land. Clear? So what government was doing, they were mapping. Groundwater aquifers have been mapped and management plans have been made for 80% of the aquifers in the country. How we can sustainably extract water from these aquifers so that they do not completely dry up. If these aquifers completely dry up, land subsidence can also happen, and a lot of infrastructure which has been created above land, they might crumble, just like an earthquake. Then Bureau of Water Use Efficiency. It is a facilitator for the promotion of improving water use efficiency across various sectors, namely irrigation, drinking water supply, power generation, industries. Basically, Bureau of Water Use Efficiency, it looks after the quality of water in different aspects. Clear? So these are some of the steps which are taken by the government. Now their efficacy is still in question because we do not still have the clean rivers, clean water resources. Our lakes, our reservoirs are depleting each year. The water sources are getting contaminated. So a lot of work still has to be done by the government in this regard. Now in these type of questions, you can also talk about certain case studies. Now here you have a case study of Lapodia model. It is a Lapodia village in Rajasthan. What they have done, they have created a choka system like this. Now they are drought-proofed semi-arid village in Jaipur district via community mobilization. Basically what they did, they developed the choka system like this. See, choka in Hindi is called a square, chalk, which has 4 sides. A checkerboard network of small interconnected rectangular earthen dikes across common pastures. What was the impact? They retained the topsoil, they checked runoff, recharged aquifers, and regenerated 50 plus hectares of degraded pasture land for sustainable pastoral livelihood. Basically what they did, whenever the rainfall, let's say rainfall is falling here and the water is going in this direction. Okay, water is going in this direction. They created this square pits. Okay, they dug these square pits, and when the water was sliding down from here, it got stored up in these pits. Water got stored up in these pits, and when the water was allowed to settle in these pits, water got down into the land. It filled up, it recharged the groundwater, it filled up the aquifers, and more greenery, more grass, more small trees started growing in this place. So that's why it is a drought-proof semi-arid. Despite being semi-arid area, this is drought-proof because of this invention, this small nature-based solution done by local people. Clear? And whatever then water goes from here, it goes into the small reservoir or the lake pond of the village. Because of these choka system, the water gets infiltrated quickly into the land and gets stored into the aquifer. So you can use these kind of case studies to give examples. Clear? Now what can be done? What should be the way forward to manage the water crisis in Indian cities? First is demand side management. We have to promote water efficient crops. So we have to replace which crops? Crops like rice and sugarcane with millets. Millets are called superfoods. They are not only good in nutrition, they are climate friendly also. They require very less water and resources for their growth. Fine. Millets instead of paddy in water scarce regions like semi-arid region of Punjab and Haryana. Then you have traditional practices like reviving traditional water management systems like Ahar pines in Bihar and Johad in Rajasthan. Just like Choka system is also kind of traditional system. You have traditional ponds, Johads, vows in Gujarat. These systems need to be revived so that they can store water, they can recharge the groundwater, people can collect water from these places. Then groundwater regulation through groundwater audits and limitation on tube wells. This we have to put some limitation on the tube wells. Until and unless we do this, the farmers will keep on extracting water with lack of knowledge. It is not their fault. They are also sometimes forced to just grow paddy because they get MSP or good price only for paddy. Government does not procure other crops so well. That's why they are forced to grow these kind of crops. Otherwise, farmers also face a dilemma. Their soil also gets damaged by frequently growing rice on their field. Then you have rainwater harvesting. For example, the cities like Chennai in Tamil Nadu, they have mandatory rainwater harvesting in every house. Mandatory rooftop harvesting as in Chennai. It can be implemented in other cities also like Delhi, Bangalore. Water recycling, treated wastewater for industries. And example you can give Israel's water reuse model. Israel reuses more than 80% of its water. So only 20% of their water gets wasted, rest they reuse each and everything. River basin management. There should be an integrated planning at the basin level. It should not be fragmented between states. Entire river basin should be planned at one go. So all the states should come at one table and then decide what is best for all of them together. Community participation in the form of village level water budgeting. Each house, each village has to be given a water budget that you will be supplied with this much of water, you have to efficiently use it. Same can be done in cities also. And desalinization. Now with the technological advancement and technologies like RO, it offers a potential solution with India's 7,500 kilometers coastline, providing a significant opportunity. See, a lot of West Asian countries, these Qatar, Kuwait, Iran, and your Israel, they rely on these desalinization plants for their water, for their drinking water. Now India can also do this. We have a large coastline, we have a lot of seawater, abundance of seawater, but these technologies are costly. We need to innovate more in these technologies to reduce the cost and to better effectively use these technologies, which can be done by international collaboration with countries like Israel. Clear? So these were the way forward, how the water crisis can be managed in Indian states and specifically in the Indian cities. Now you have to write this question, discuss the causes and consequences of groundwater depletion in India and suggest measures for sustainable water management. Now coming to the mains value addition, there was an article in newspaper regarding a PIL in Supreme Court regarding the mental health conditions of persons with disabilities and children. In this regard, Supreme Court issued notice on the plea for overseeing the rehabilitation units within the states and directed that the states must prescribe standards for mental health establishments catering to children, says the petitioner. So in this, how you can use data for your mains as a writing. Let's say previously also we got a question something regarding on suicides and mental health in UPSC somewhere around 2022. So you can get similar kind of question either in your GS paper 2 or GS paper 3 also. Largely in GS paper 2 social justice, this type of question can come. So status of mental health care in India, what data you can use in these type of questions. See, there is lack of public expenditure. Government of India spends less than 2% of the entire GDP on healthcare. Out of that 2%, we spend just 0.05% of GDP on mental health. So government's expenditure towards health is low, 2%, but towards mental health it is even lower, just 0.05%, which is way below for a country like India where a lot of people are facing mental health issues like anxiety and stress. A lot of people are even not aware that they are facing these issues because of lack of awareness. Then healthy years lost. There is a data that for every 1 lakh people in India, a combined total of 2,443 years of healthy life are lost annually due to premature death or living with mental health disability. This is WHO data. Basically, WHO says among the 1 lakh population, 2,400 years are lost of healthy life just because either the person dies prematurely or they are not living healthy because of mental health disabilities. So much of year life is just being lost by people. Then high prevalence, roughly 1 in 7 Indians, that means over 15 crore people currently suffer from various mental health conditions, primarily depression and anxiety. 15 crore is a huge number. 15 crore people are suffering from depression, anxiety, these kind of issues. And I'm telling you, a lot of people are still not aware. More than 10 crore people out of this will still not be aware that they are facing some kind of issue. They are not happy, they are at unease, they are facing anxiety, but still they are not aware what is happening with them. Suicide rates. India's age-adjusted suicide rate stand at 21 per 1 lakh population. So this is also a high number because we are already a high population country. So when this number accumulates in the total absolute number, it becomes a huge number. So you can use these data. Apart from this, economic impact of mental health care. It is estimated that economic loss due to these mental health conditions between 2012 and 2030 is USD 1 trillion. 1 trillion is roughly 20% of India's GDP. So from 2012 to 2030, in these 18 years, we lost 1 trillion of USD because of this mental health issues, because people's productivity suffer because of these issues. If you are facing depression, anxiety, you will not work properly, and that will lead to reduced productivity in the economy. Then you have the treatment gap. 80% of the individuals needing mental health support do not receive that treatment. And one of the reasons why they do not receive this treatment, because of the workforce shortage. India has only 0.75 psychiatrists per 1 lakh of population. That means out of every 3 lakh, we just have roughly 2 psychiatrists in 3 lakh population. Whereas WHO recommends that there should be at least 3 psychiatrists per 1 lakh of population. So we are roughly at 20-25% mark of what is required. So we have faced shortage of psychiatrists also in India. So these some kind of data you can use in mental health type of questions. Now our government has come up with a lot of schemes also for mental health issues. You can use these. Major is in 2017 you came up with Mental Health Care Act. This Mental Health Care Act is important. You can get better marks by writing these kind of legislations which government has come up with for regarding mental health issues. Then you have specifically rights of person with disabilities. This also talks about rights of person with disabilities and their rights regarding mental health treatment. Clear? Then your Kiran helpline. Basically, it was launched in COVID-19 to cope up, to support people who are facing depression by getting locked up in homes. Then you have Telemanas helpline. It is a 24/7 helpline, Telemanas. Basically, again, for people who have suicidal thoughts to prevent all those things. Then National Suicide Prevention Strategy. Then you have Manas is expanded to one more. Video consulting is also included in the Telemanas helpline. The Telemanas app has been launched. Then mental health service integrated into Ayushman Bharat health and wellness centers. Basically, the primary health centers of Ayushman Bharat scheme, the health and wellness centers, they have now been integrated with mental healthcare issues. That means somewhere you can find psychiatrists also, and the doctors there, they will also be trained to deal with mental health issues. Clear? So this is a good illustration from the movie Three Idiots, where they say that engineers are a clever bunch of people, but they haven't made any machine to measure the mental pressure. A lot of 15 crore people in India, they are facing this kind of mental pressure and depression. If they had, everyone would know why people do suicide, under whose burden they do, how much pressure people feel before they go for suicide. So these are the issues which are increasing in India, and government is also working towards it. However, the spending is less, the number of psychiatrists are less, a lot of economic burden is being put on the country. All these have to be taken care of. Clear? So you can use these data in any questions coming regarding suicide or mental health issues in India. Coming to the prelims point, the first topic is regarding 10th schedule. A lot of MPs, MLAs, they are today switching sides. They are changing their parties, going from one party to another. The recent example of Raghav Chadha led 7 MPs who switched their alliance from Aam Aadmi Party to BJP. Similarly, there are talks of MPs shifting from Shiv Sena of Uddhav Thackeray to BJP. There are talks of MLAs in Bengal shifting or changing their party from Trinamool Congress to again BJP. Now I don't know what magnet BJP is having that everybody is going towards them. See, in the 10th schedule, what you need to remember for your exam perspective is that it was added by 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act in 1985. Objective is to prevent political defection. That means Ayaram Gayaram politics. What happened after 1967? A lot of governments fell because the MPs, MLAs, they switched their sides. Mostly the MLAs, they switched the parties, and the ruling government, then they do not have the support of the MLAs to continue running their government. So a lot of government fell. So it was popularly called Ayaram Gayaram Sarkar at that time, that some people, sometimes they are coming, sometimes they are going, so the Ayaram Gayaram. So to curb this thing, to provide stability to the government, by the 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act 1985, the 10th schedule was added into the Indian Constitution to ensure stability in the elected government. Now the decision-making authority in this 10th schedule is the Speaker in case of Lok Sabha or member of Legislative Assembly, and Chairman in case of Rajya Sabha and in States Legislative Council. Clear? The judicial review, earlier it was said that judicial review will not apply to the decision of Speaker or Chairman, but in the Kyoto Holohan case in 1992, the Supreme Court said that judicial review will apply to these cases once the Speaker has given its decision. Clear? So, under the 10th schedule, who are disqualified? Basically, what are the conditions why people are or MP MLAs are disqualified under the 10th schedule? The disqualification is on the following 4 grounds majorly. Voluntary giving up the membership of political party. Let's say I am selected on the ticket of Congress. If I leave that party, I will be disqualified under 10th schedule. Voting or abstain from voting in the House contrary to any direction or whip issued by the political party. Whip is an informal document, or you can say informal instrument, where a political party issues direction to its MPs, MLAs that you have to vote in favor or against this particular bill or anything. If any party member does not follow the whip, that means they are not going according to the party directions, then they are liable to be disqualified under the 10th schedule. Then it depends upon the party leaders, they can make him disqualified. Third is that if any independent member is there, they join any political party after election. If an independent member is selected into the assembly or Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, they cannot join any political party. They will be disqualified. You have been selected independently, you stay independent. You can vote in favor of anybody, but you cannot join them. Similarly, a nominated member joining any political party after 6 months of becoming a member. Now, in case of nominated members, there is a distinction from independent member. Nominated member for the first 6 months can join any political party, because he has not fought an election independently. He has come in the house as a nominated member. So he is given a chance that you have 6 months, 6 महीने में जिसको join करना है कर लो. If you join any political party after 6 months, you will be disqualified. ठीक है? So always remember this distinction between independent member and nominated member. The nominated member is given just 6 months time to join any party. After that, if he does, he'll be disqualified. Independent member cannot join. If he join any party, he'll be disqualified. Clear? And who all are covered? Members of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, State Legislative Assembly and State Legislative Council. Clear? There are certain exceptions also to this. There is no disqualification if 2/3 of the members of a legislature party agrees to merge with another party. Now, they are merging a party into another party. Now, what happens? There were, let's say the example of Aam Aadmi Party. There were 10 MPs of Aam Aadmi Party. Out of that, 7 came together and they said, we are merging into BJP. 7. If the number would have been 6, they would not have crossed the threshold of 2/3. But 2/3 is 66%. They are 70%. So they crossed the threshold. So now they are not liable to anti-defection. Although under certain technicalities, they can face other charges, but they will not face disqualification under 10th schedule. Clear? So this is an exception. Basically, it says that you do not allow single defection, but you allow mass defection. This is one of the criticism of this anti-defection law, that you allow mass defection. Now, there was 91st Amendment Act, Constitutional Amendment in 2003, which said that earlier there was another provision that if 1/3 of the members, they split and merge with another party, they will be exempted. They will not be disqualified. But they removed this protection of split. They said that 1/3 members, if defection happens by 1/3 member, it is not equal to merger. They will be disqualified. Only one exception is there, that merger of 2/3 people. If more than 2/3 people merge with another party, then they will not be disqualified. If number is less than 2/3, they will be disqualified. Clear? Only merger by 2/3 is allowed. What is the criticism? It reduces legislators' freedom of expression. Let's say I am a member of parliament from any party, for example, Congress. Now, if I have certain views which are against Congress party, I am also a representative of my people. My people must be having some other issues, so I cannot raise my voice apart from the party lines. If I raise my voice apart from the party lines, if I vote against the party whip, I will be disqualified. So this is one of the criticism for this. See, everything has some pros and cons. So this is one of the cons of anti-defection law. Speaker's neutrality often questioned. Now, speaker is the final decision maker in this case, and speaker belongs to the ruling party. When you're adjudicating authority, that decision-making authority belongs to one party, they will follow the party lines. They will favor their party. Now, what has been seen in Indian politics, what criticism this amendment or this schedule faces is that speaker often takes very quick decision when the things are going in his party's favor. But when the things have to go in other party's favor, the speaker keeps on delaying things. So indefinitely he can sit on the decision, and they do not take decisions for several months and years. In this context, Supreme Court recently also said that it is duty of speaker to give the decision within 3 months. But this was kind of an advisory from Supreme Court, not a binding decision from their side. Clear? So what can be the exam traps where we can, what we can see in the exam? It was added by 44th Constitutional Amendment Act. This is wrong. It was added by 52nd Constitutional Amendment Act in 1995. Decision is taken by Election Commission. No, decision is taken by Speaker or Chairman. Although this is one of the recommendations of different committees that you create an organization, either Election Commission or some other members of Parliament who should take the decision, or the President or Governor should take the decision, but not the Speaker and Chairman. But these are just suggestions. Judicial review is completely bad. This is wrong. Judicial review is applied after 1992 Kyoto Holohan case. Applies only to Member of Parliament. No, only is wrong. It applies to MLAs and MLCs also. Independent members can freely join a political party after election. No, they cannot freely join a political party, any independent member. Even the nominated member can join only up to 6 months. Clear? Coming to the next topic, it is regarding GRAPES 3. GRAPES 3C, it is a telescope in Ooty, Tamil Nadu. GRAPES 3. Clear? It is a cosmic ray tracker. Now, what is GRAPES 3? It is Gamma Ray Astronomy PV Energies Phase 3. In short, GRAPES 3. This is a kind of setup of GRAPES 3 where these are small hundreds of observation units set up there. Now, what does it do? It is a cosmic ray and high energy astrophysics observatory located in Ooty at an altitude of 2200 meters in the Nilgiri Hills in Tamil Nadu. Clear? It was established by Tata Institute of Fundamental Research, which is also called in short TIFR. Clear? TIFR. And it is operational since 2000, the GRAPES 3 phase. The main objective of this observatory, one observatory you must remember we also have in Ladakh. Don't get confused with that. This GRAPES 3 is in Ooty, Tamil Nadu. The main objective is to study cosmic rays, gamma rays, solar activity and space weather. Now, how do they do this? How does this study happen? See, the key components of this GRAPES 3 telescope is that there are large array of air shower detectors, and it is world's largest muon telescope. Now, what are air shower detectors? What do they detect? Basically, when the cosmic rays from the sun or from other galaxy, they come into the Earth's atmosphere and they strike with the air of our atmosphere. They create air showers. Okay? They create small particles which are called air showers. Among that, one of the particles is muon, which is highly unstable, which has a very short lifespan of just 2 microseconds. But it travels at the speed of nearly at the speed of light, this muon. So it comes and strikes the Earth's surface. It is so fast. Within 2 microseconds, it comes and strikes the Earth's surface. So these muons are detected by these observations. See, you see these small observation units, small. They detect the muons falling on the Earth's surface. Clear? Air shower, you now know. Whenever the cosmic rays, they interact with the Earth's atmosphere, they create air showers. And what are muons? They see these muons are high energy cosmic rays from space which hit Earth's atmosphere. When these cosmic rays hit Earth's atmosphere, particle shower or air shower happens. This collision creates a shower of secondary particles. Among them, one of them are muons. These muon is a Subatomic particles similar to electron but much heavier. They are roughly 207 times heavier than electron. They are similar to electron in the form that muons also have negative charge. Clear? They are also negatively charged. These things can be easily asked in your science and tech based section, so you must remember them. I am telling you in the simplified form. Now, instruments called muon telescope detect muons that reach the earth. Example is the Graves 3 at UT, is the world's largest muon telescope. Okay? Counts muon continuously, studies change in muon intensity, how different atmospheric phenomena, how cosmic rays, how solar flares, the coronal ejection from the sun, how all these affect the muons coming on the earth. They basically study that over time. Let's say today 1000 muons came on the earth, tomorrow 2000 came, on certain day 2 lakh came. So these observatories, they detect the data, and based upon that data they predict or they take inference that what is happening in the space. Clear? Why are these muons important? They help study solar storms. When the solar storms are on the rise, when more and more solar storms are coming, more cosmic rays will strike the Earth's atmosphere, more muons will come down. So when the intensity of muons increase in this observatory, we know that the intensity of solar flares has increased. Similarly, monitoring change in Earth's magnetic field. Useful for space weathering and monitoring, because during the time of these solar flares and coronal mass ejection, our satellites can get damaged, communication satellites, and helps protect satellite communication and system powers. All these things. Clear? So muons are basically tiny, fast and short-lived particles born in the atmosphere due to cosmic rays. They act as messenger from space and help us understand the sun, space weather and our planet. Clear? So these are short-lived, travel at the speed of light, just live for 2 seconds. They pass the entire atmosphere and reach the Earth's surface. Clear? So how it is detected? High energy cosmic rays, these muons are produced in Earth's atmosphere. Why this observatory is important? It helps study solar storms, geomagnetic effects and astrophysics phenomena. Now, what are the recent relevance? It is used to study the extreme solar events and their impact on Earth's magnetic field. Clear? So now you know what is Graves 3, where it is located, what it does, all these things. Let's look at some of the exam types. It is located in Ladakh. Now this is wrong. It is located in Ooty. In Ladakh, we have Hanley Observatory. Hanley Observatory. It is a space-based telescope. Again, this is wrong. This is a ground-based telescope located on the ground. Managed by ISRO? No, it is managed by TIFR, Tata Institute of Fundamental Research. Studies gravitational waves. Again, this is wrong. It studies the cosmic rays, the muons, the air shower, all these things. It is used mainly for weather forecasting. Again, this is wrong. It is not used for weather forecasting. They understand weather, not forecast it. Clear? Coming to the next topic of the prelims pointer, it is regarding the Zoological Survey of India. The Great Nicobar's project, it is in news. We have taken it also multiple times. Now, Great Nicobar's project, you know that a lot of coral reefs are also there. Now, Zoological Survey of India is doing work so that they can relocate these corals from Great Nicobar to somewhere else so that they are saved. Recently, Rahul Gandhi also posted a video on YouTube where he said that there are a lot of corals around Great Nicobar. So there was one of the ecological concerns of Great Nicobar's project was that these corals will die off. But Zoological Survey of India is taking some steps. They are doing efforts so that they'll see whether they can revive these coral reefs or not. They'll use techniques to cut out, extract these coral reefs, put them somewhere else where they can survive. Clear? So Zoological Survey of India will soon seek a nod from the Department of Environment, Forest and the Andaman Nicobar Island Administration for the translocation of over 16,000 coral colonies that are to be impacted around the Galathea Bay transshipment port site in the Great Nicobar project. Clear? Now, what is Zoological Survey of India? It is a premier zoological research and animal taxonomy institute of India. What is zoological? Zoo is something related to animals, zoological. And animal taxonomy means whatever new species they discover or whatever animals they found in India. India is a biodiversity hotspot. We have more than 1 lakh of animal species. They define these animals into different structures, where they belong, in which category they come, all these things. It was established in 1916 before the independence. Its headquarters is in Kolkata. There are 16 regional centers of Zoological Survey of India across India. Clear? Both Botanical Survey of India and Zoological Survey of India, they have their headquarters in Kolkata. Now it is under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. The origin, it was evolved from the Zoological section of Indian Museum, 1875. Basically, it was started by Britishers. It was part of Indian Museum right from 1875, and in 1916, it was separated from Indian Museum and a separate Zoological Survey of India was created. Clear? The primary objective is to survey, exploration, identification and documentation of India's faunal diversity. That means India's animal species diversity. उनका सब track करना, their survey, identification, documentation, all those things. They are primarily responsible. The major functions are maintaining animal taxonomy, faunal surveys, biodiversity assessment, conservation research, and maintenance of zoological collections. Basically, the zoos in the entire India, they are also looked upon by this Zoological Survey of India. Clear? Now, what are the key concerns associated with coral translocation? Yes, we are talking about translocating corals. The Zoological Survey of India is talking about this ambitious project. But what are the concerns? See, first is it requires removing corals, either in fragments or whole colony, risking loss of diversity and coral abundance. Basically, when you remove colony from one place to another, not everything will be settled in a similar manner. Some diversity will be lost. Some species which are living there, which they will die off while translocating, or some will not come to the new place. Then you have high cost of the procedure, makes it risky if the coral translocated are unable to survive or compete with the existing ones. You are putting in high cost, translocating them, and still if they do not survive, then everything will get wasted. Then risk of attachment failure. When transplanted, the corals are not able to properly attach to substrate, causing their death. See, they are attached at the bottom to the rocks and the surface of the sea. But when they are translocated to some other place, they are saying that there might be concerns that they do not develop proper root system or they do not get attached to the rocks and surface of the sea. So if they are not attached properly, again, they will die off. So these are some of the concerns in this project. But see, Zoological Survey of India have a lot of good scientists who are working on this project. Let's see what happens. Now, Zoological Survey of India, they are also responsible for National Zoological Collections. Basically, they are custodian of India's largest faunal specimen repository. Clear? So they have the repository, that means they have all the documentation, they have the species, they have the species, you can say DNAs, all those things collected. And this is the symbol of Zoological Survey of India. Basically, it represents Indian gore, the bison, the wild buffalo of India. Clear? This is represented in their logo. What are the important roles? They provide scientific input for wildlife conservation and biodiversity policies. As India is home to biodiversity hotspots. There are 4 biodiversity hotspots in India. Tell me in the comment section which are the 4 biodiversity hotspots. Let's see how many of you remember 4 of them. Then there are recent developments like they developed India's first large-scale DNA barcode library for cockroaches. DNA for cockroaches for study purpose, how cockroaches can survive in extreme environment. Then leading India's National Red List Assessment Program with BSI. Now, India's Red List program is similar to what IUCN Red List at the world level. Basically, in this Red List, they note down which of the animal and plant species are threatened with extinction. So that once you have documentation ready, कि ये species हैं which are threatened with extinction, you can work on to revive them, to protect them. Clear? And then the director, Dhriti Banerjee, became the first woman director of Zoological Survey of India in 2021. And right now also she is the director. Dhriti Banerjee, first woman director of Zoological Survey of India right from 1916. Clear? What can be the exam test? It was established in 1947 after independence. This is wrong. It was established in 1916 before independence. Headquarters in New Delhi, wrong. This is one of the few organizations which have headquarters in Kolkata. Clear? Works under Ministry of Science. Again, this is wrong. Under Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. Deals with flora of India. Flora is not flowers and plant species. Deals with fauna, animal species. Statutory body attached with created by Act of Parliament. Again, this is wrong. It is not a statutory body. It is an independent or attached body. Attached body to a ministry. That means they are not created by constitution. They are not created by law. They are just a normal executive body attached to a ministry. Clear? Coming to the last topic of today's prelims discussion, it is regarding Cape Verde. How many of you remember? Tell me honestly in the comment section, how many of you know Cape Verde is a country? I bet a lot of you guys must be hearing this name for the first time. Cape Verde is a country. What happens recently? FIFA World Cup is going on in USA, and Cape Verde had a match with Spain. Spain is one of the favorite countries to win the World Cup, and Spain could not win the match against Cape Verde, a country which we don't even know, which don't even have a million population. They drew the match with Spain, and it was a big upset. Nobody was expecting Spain to have a draw with them. Everybody is expecting that Spain will easily win this. Clear? So they are in news because of this. This is the heroic goalkeeper of Cape Verde who saved 7 different goals, and because of his heroic, they were able to draw the match. For Cape Verde, drawing a match with Spain is equivalent to winning the match. It's like Pakistan beating India in cricket. So Cape Verde is also called Cabo Verde. And it is another name of Cabo Verde. First, we will see where it is located. It is an island country in the Atlantic Ocean of the west coast of Africa. This is Africa. This is Africa. This is the west coast of Africa. This is Senegal. Senegal is the closest country to Cape Verde. Now, this is roughly around 600 kilometers from Senegal. Here you have this Cabo Verde or Cape Verde in Atlantic Ocean. Praia is their capital city. Clear? Nearby country around 600 kilometers from Senegal. Capital is Praia. Official name is Republic of Cabo Verde. These are the group of 10 islands. It is an archipelago of 10 islands, volcanic islands, which together form one country. Clear? Archipelago of 10 volcanic islands and several islets, small islands. The highest peak is Pico do Fogo. It is an active volcano. Now what happens? Some of the islands here are completely flat. They are having flat topography. Some are having volcanic mountains. So the islands which are having flat topography, they do not receive any rainfall. Because how rainfall will come? They are in the first of all, they are in the high pressure zone. Somewhere here, this is around 30-degree latitude. So they are in high pressure zone. They do not receive rainfall despite surrounding by the sea. And some islands which are having mountains, they face orographic rainfall. When the moisture-laden winds strike the mountains, winds rise, they condense and create precipitation. So some islands face good precipitation, some islands are completely deserted. Official language is Portuguese because they were the former colony of Portugal. Portugal people, this is Portugal. They came from here to colonize them. And they gained independence in 1975. They gained independence after India, but they have good sporting culture in their country, especially for football, so that at least they are part of FIFA World Cup. We Indians, we are not part of FIFA World Cup. India is ranked more than 100 in FIFA World Cup ranking, and only top 48 countries are allowed in FIFA World Cup. Our entire focus is just on cricket, and we ignore the global sporting event like football. Coming forward, Cape Verde or Cabo Verde, it is a regional grouping. It is a member of African Union. So they are part of Africa. Clear? It is also a part of Micronesia. Micronesia is a group of 4 countries like Azores, Madeira, and Canary Island here, and this Canary Island and this Cape Verde. These are the 4 countries that together they are part of Micronesia in your Atlantic island. See, this is Micronesia in Atlantic island. Clear? 4 group of countries. Now Azores is also a country. This Madeira, Canary and Cape Verde. Now the climate is generally moderate here. Moderate means they have maritime effect. It is not very extreme because of the ocean acts as a heat absorbing mechanism around these islands. Ocean absorbs the heat and does not allow the temperature to rise very high. The climate is characterized by stable temperature, not very high, not very cold, but with extreme aridity. And I have told you the reason for extreme aridity. One more reason for extreme aridity is the Canary current coming like this. The Canary current is a cold current. It is a cold current. And when the cold current is coming there, it does not allow moisture to do precipitation here. Basically, the cold winds, they occupy the bottom level. Warm winds are overlaid over the cold winds. It creates temperature inversion. Basically, such kind of conditions are created by cold currents that it prohibits precipitation. So that's why they have extreme aridity. And the reason is that they lie in the high pressure belt. Clear? And third reason of extreme aridity is, as I told you, they're completely flat, featureless. So they do not have any mountains which can create rainfall. But some islands here which have mountains, they get good rainfall. Recently, they featured in FIFA World Cup 2026 as a participating nation. And I think they have participated for the first time, if I'm not wrong. And suddenly they have created a, you can say, surprise for Spain. They came up as a surprise for Spain and for everybody. every football fan in the world, because a lot of people love the Spanish football team. So they came up as a surprise. So this is Cape Verde for you. Then what can be the exam traps? It is located in Indian Ocean. This is wrong. It is located in Atlantic Ocean. Its capital is Figo. This is wrong. Capital is Paira. Former Spanish colony. Again, this is wrong. It was former Portuguese colony. Just like our Goa. Goa was also Portuguese colony. It is a coral island nation. Again, this is wrong. It is a volcanic island nation. 10 islands of volcanic origin. Clear? It's a landlocked African country. This is wrong. This is an island country off the west coast of Africa. And official language is French. Again, this is wrong. It is Portuguese. Official language is Portuguese. Clear? So that's it from my side. Thank you guys. I'll see you again in the next session. Make sure you write the answers and comment in the comment section of all the quiz section. Thank you.